I've had many experiences, but I'll tell you the one that really freaked me out, because I wasn't the only witness. I was about 12 years old and I was talking with my dad in his room. My mom was in the closet with the lights off, but we could clearly see her folding clothes. Well, during me and my dad's conversation, he had asked my mom something, but to no reply. He eventually got to the point where he started to yell. I got up and stepped into the closet, but when I heard my mom walk into the room and ask why he was yelling her name, I looked at her and she had a towel wrapped around her. I quickly looked back into the closet and saw nothing. Absolutely nothing. This obviously creeped me and my dad out. Whatever we saw, it wasn't my mom. Whatever it was, it had her shape and even the bun. My mom always had her hair in a bun. I would have completely thought this was my imagination if it weren't for my dad also being there and seeing it too. I was around 11 years old and I woke up in the middle of the night to a man straddled on top of me with his hand over my mouth and nose. He told me to roll over and not scream. I ignored this and rolled onto the floor and tried to scream bloody murder. I say tried because when you are truly terrified, it can take a second to find your voice. My mom heard me screaming and came in and fought with the guy. He was at least 6 foot, she was only 5'3", and scared him enough with the fighting and screaming that he took off out the window. Never did catch him. When I was around 13, I was alone at the house, like everyone was gone because they went to a funeral. I didn't want to go since I had homework, so I stayed home in my room while doing my homework. As I was doing my homework, I started to get hungry, so I went down to the kitchen to grab chips. When I went to the kitchen and went into the pantry, I heard a loud creak coming from the stairs. I got chills all over my body. I checked the stairs and there was a white figure standing, staring at me with its black, void eyes. I screamed. My neighbor heard and knocked on the door. I ran quickly as I could and hugged them. I was panicking. I didn't know what to do. We called the cops and also called my family. The cops and my family arrived at the same time. My family and the cops saw my best friend trying to keep me calm while tears were forming in my eyes. The cops went inside the house with my family's permission. They checked every single room. They found no one. I still remember this story till this day and still gives me the chills. One day, my aunt was home alone when she heard someone open the door and walking in the hallway. Since her husband, my uncle, was not supposed to get home in a few hours, she went downstairs to see if someone was there. She did not see anyone, but outside the door she saw footsteps in the snow leading to the door, but not away from it. This got her nervous, and on a second glance she saw an unfamiliar pair of shoes in the hallway. She ran up and called the police, and when they came and searched through the house, they found a homeless man hiding in the storage room, holding my uncle's shotgun, but luckily, he had not found the ammunition. He was arrested, but according to my aunt, it is the scariest thing she has ever experienced. I can only imagine what would have happened if he would have found the shotgun shells. This story takes place when I was about 4 or 5 years old and my parents had just separated. My mom was living in a 2-bedroom apartment. I had my own room, but I preferred to sleep in her bed whenever I was staying with her. Our 2-bedroom were at the end of a hallway directly across from each other. Our apartment was on the first floor, and I remember that it was in the middle of the summer and my mom had a window open in her room, which was directly behind the bed, above the headboard. Anyways, I woke up in the middle of the night and remember sitting up and seeing that our cat was sitting in the door frame of my mom's room. Her door was open and you could partially see into my bedroom. This was strange because our cat was typically always in bed with us. As I was watching him, he walked into my bedroom and meowed. I turned to face my mom and wake her up. In the 3 or 4 seconds it took her to wake up and ask me what was wrong, we both looked back up in the doorframe, and there was a man standing by my open door, making his way out of my bedroom. I still don't know how she managed to do it so quickly, but my mother proceeded to pick me up and literally throw me out the screen window. Again, we were not on the first floor, and it was maybe a 3-foot drop to the ground. She quickly followed, and we were able to start screaming for help, and someone called 911. The police came but didn't see any signs of forced entry, only that our front door was unlocked, which led them to believe the man must have exited that way. The strange thing was that my mom swore up and down that she locked the door that night with the deadbolt and chain lock. About a week later, she was cleaning the kitchen, opened up our water heater closet, and found a notebook with names and drawings, as well as a pair of gloves and some gum wrappers. The police were called again, but all they could do was speculate that the man had been in our house and hid until we were asleep. This happened about 10 years ago, give or take about a year. My friend Craig and I made plans to go out with our friend Jeremy and his new girlfriend. Neither of us had to work the next day, so we grabbed some beers and made our way to Jeremy's mom's house, where Jer was temporarily staying. When we got there, we went out into the woods behind the apartment complex to drink. This wasn't just a little patch of trees, but a good-sized patch of forest. For context, this was in New York State. It was a nice fall day, late afternoon, and the sun was still out. We finished the beers and decided to go get more. So we go to the store and get some more beer, head back to the apartments, and enter the woods. This was autumn, and the light outside was right at the stage where it starts to fade very quickly. We underestimated how dark it would be once we were in the woods, and how fast the light was fading away. We planned on making a fire, but didn't really count on it being so dark when we got back. So we were walking into this sort of clearing area from where we could choose to head off in a few different directions. We're having a good time, laughing, talking, but something not too far in the distance catches my eye. It's too dark to tell, but I swear I can see a very large figure. No, that's too big. It's probably a tree or just your eyes messing with you. So as Jeremy is gabbing in the background, I ask Craig to step aside if he can see something standing up ahead. And he's like, nah, where? Oh wait, there? Oh crap. We were still walking, and it was becoming clear I wasn't seeing things. There was a very large person standing in the forest up ahead, apparently facing us. So I try to get Jeremy's attention without cluing the big guy in that we've noticed him, just in case something sketchy is going on, which I get the serious feeling there is. We tell Jeremy there's a person up ahead, and Jeremy is in a jovial, no-chill state, and he exclaims, "Oh wow, is that Bigfoot?" We humor him and laugh, but it's clear to Craig and I that this is actually creepy and probably not as safe of a situation as we thought. And it's clear that Jeremy is not understanding that. It's hard to communicate the pacing of our approach onto the guy, but essentially we had gotten too close not to acknowledge him. Partially because it took us a moment to get Jeremy's attention, and partially because we weren't trying to just turn around and run like we were scared. There were 4 of us and 1 of him after all, but this was a big guy. Not supernaturally big or anything, and not like he was jacked or anything like that, just a naturally gigantic dude. Very tall and heavy without being particularly fat. And he was just standing there in the middle of the forest in the dark, alone. So as we approach this guy and just sort of say hello, Jeremy, the absolute fool that he was, gets way too close into the guy's personal space as he enthusiastically tells him about how scary he looks, standing in the woods alone. "We thought you were an alien or something, bro. I thought you were gonna jump up and blah." Jeremy mimes an extra set of teeth coming out of his mouth, like a xenomorph from the Alien vs. Predator movies, all up in the guy's face. To be clear, Jeremy is not trying to be intimidating or a jerk in any way. He is trying to be friendly and joking around with this guy, but he is literally leaning into this dude and practically sticking his hands in his face with his impression of an alien. Did I mention Jeremy was kind of a moron? Jeremy was kind of a moron. Love you, Jeremy. You were kind of moron. And Jeremy's poor girlfriend, who was a few years younger than us and very shy, was clearly terrified, to which Jer was also oblivious. So Craig and I are both standing here, kind of trying to brainstorm a way out of this situation. Jeremy is clearly too dense to get it. If we stay that long, we have to go. He'd be like, "What? We just got here. Are we having a fire?" We were trying to seem confident and in control of the situation. Big guy says, "Oh, you guys drinking? I got some drinks too." And he walks over to the tree line where he has a bag laying beside a tree. He reaches in the bag, and while he grabs a beer with one hand, he sort of sneakily pulls something else out with his other hand and places it into his hoodie pocket. I'm convinced it was a knife or a gun, probably a knife in all honesty. He then reapproaches us and cracks open his beer. I glance around casually, and then I notice something else. Somebody else is out here. There's someone moving along the tree line to our left, a relatively good distance away, but somebody else in here, and they're circling around as if to come up behind us. No, I need to leave now. So I go, "Well, I gotta work in the morning and Craig's driving me home, so we gotta get out of here." Jeremy, in his infinite wisdom, responds, "What? You said you didn't have to work tomorrow." I facepalm so hard on the inside. "No, Jeremy, you must have misheard me. I said I do have to work tomorrow." And Jeremy, proving there is no end to his wisdom, says, "Alright guys, well, it was nice hanging out with you. Get home safe." He wasn't leaving the woods with us. Greg and I started walking away, and I told him about the other person circling to get behind us and that we needed to move. We start trying to brainstorm a way to get Jeremy and his girlfriend out of there, and decide to call him and tell him that his mom was out in the parking lot looking for him. Jeremy is terrified of his mom, Craig explains to me, and this should work. Because we clearly couldn't just call him and tell him the situation was not safe without him blurting out, "This guy isn't sketchy, I feel totally safe." Jeremy was very mad at us for lying about his mom. I think his girlfriend appreciated it though. I'm not sure what was going on there that night. I've talked to several people about it over the years, and there are a few different ideas. Did you know we were coming back? Were they waiting for us? Or did we stumble into something we weren't meant to? Almost everyone I tell about this story says you guys just accidentally interrupted a drug deal. But something about that just doesn't seem right. Who does a drug deal in the middle of the woods at night? I don't know. Very possibly just a homeless dude with no ill intentions and another homeless dude with no ill intention. But it was a very creepy and scary situation, and I just thought I would share.